Speaking of informative, on the blog, we have the latest missive from our friend Doc Love, helping us in our battle for world dominance, men versus women, or finding out who's on top. From doclove.com. He is the custodian of the information. What was it? Years and tens of thousands of women interviewed. So you have all the knowledge, like sitting up, listening to some girl blabber on about her issues and her problems and her feelings and her concerns and her thoughts. You've done all that legwork for us. You've filtered through a lot of the self-indulgent luggage and, baggage. And now you have the wisdom. It's called The System, right?
It's called The System. It's available on doclove.com. The radio show plays in Houston at 6 o'clock on Fridays. I just ask men to set their ego aside and just listen and say, does this make sense to you? Because I've spent a lifetime studying why women stay with one guy versus another guy. So I got a great series of books for you, a radio show and a weekly column. I'm the only love doctor that has a radio show and a weekly column to help men throughout the world. But I've always felt that men get raw into the stick. There's a lot of great guys out there who want to find a keeper, get married, maybe get married and have kids, and all of a sudden 6 months later, this girl says, I don't like you anymore. And she says, I really hate to break your heart, which is a contradiction in terms because she doesn't dig you. So this is her farewell speech. She cries. She says she's miserable. Meanwhile, after she hangs up talking to you, getting rid of you, she goes into the room and there's her new boyfriend.
Ooh.
So you get one shot per girl per lifetime. Now, let me tell you something. See, Dave, two things happen in a relationship. You break up, or worse, you get married. And who gets out first suffers less. In my studies, women get out 90% of the time. But what the guy doesn't ask himself, Dave, is, am I making mistakes with Susie that I made with Caprice, that I made with Alice? Are women, any chance women are consistent and unlike men? This is what he doesn't ask himself, which I ask myself. And I was in sales all my life. So I'm like a sales manager, and I ride with you. You're the new salesman, Dave, and you're closing 1 in 10 deals. We're selling aluminum siding for $16,000, and you're not getting any sales. Well, I'm going to ride with you for 2 months and point out why you got some sales and why you didn't. Now you're closing 1 in 3. So I applied sales to romantic love. I thought out of the box naturally.
See, all I need is somebody to sit there and tell me when I'm right all the time when I have arguments with my wife.
Number one,
I'm sorry, Mrs. Outlaw. Dave's right.
Dave, you can never win an argument with a woman.
Yeah, don't we all know that?
Yeah, we know that. So don't get. So when you see it coming, just back off.
Beep.
And pick your battles.
Beep.
And don't argue over nothing. Don't argue over most arguments are over little things. So guys get uptight about nothing. Let it go. If she's a great woman, she's going to be 10% goofy, just like you and I are 10% goofy. So don't lean on the 10. Look at the 90. And remember, guys, I'm not a woman basher. But I'm just saying that when you read all the other love doctors, you notice this, Dave, about what a guy can do, what a guy can do, what a guy can do. A guy should do this. There's nothing out there for what they should do.
Right.
You don't see these female love doctors saying, women, if you got a good man, don't complain, don't try to change him, and don't nag.
Well, didn't that report come out earlier this year that as far as the happiness quotient or the disparity between the happiness quotient, a man can be less happy than a woman and the relationship's fine. But if the woman for a consistent period of time is less happy than the man, then eventually the relationship will break up.
Yeah, adios, because their interest level drops. Like I said a couple times before, it drops slowly. Maybe it only drops a point or two a week, or maybe it drops 6 points a month. But most guys don't get past the first date, and 90% of the guys don't get past 10 dates. If you get past 10 dates, she'll end up being your girlfriend. That's the thing. And so we look, of course, to make sure she doesn't have